Hello again and welcome to my channel and to Sewing Made Easy. As again today I would like to give you some nice little tips how to make some of your projects a little bit easier for you to sew. In my today's tutorial I will show you how to make a placket for your blouse, for your shirt or for your tunica. But why should I show this to you? Well, one of the reasons is if you buy a finished pattern or a magazine with the patterns inside, sometimes it's a little bit awkward to understand what they mean, how you should do this, which kind of seam allowances you should add, and so on. I know this because many times I get questions in my German tutorials on this when they say, oh, I don't understand in this magazine what they mean. Can you show it in a video how to do this? All right. So another reason is that you might have a pattern, but you think, what am I going to do with this button placket? Can I change it? So I will show you today how you can make a real nice looking button placket or just a placket, doesn't necessarily have to be buttons in it as well, for your shirt, for your blouse, or wherever you need a placket in. I hope I got you interested. And if that is the case, then you should stay tuned. Okay, let's start the job. So this explanation for you is just a simple front panel. But it's also a very classic panel. And it's really easy for everybody to draw this own pattern for yourself. So have a look at your fronts and look where is your front middle. And I'm not talking about the overlapping, I'm really talking about the front middle. As an example, if I would put my two parts here on top of each other, this could be cut in a fold here, then you can see this is exactly even. So this is my front middle. Very important that you don't start any other drawing. It's got to be drawn as I explained it from the middle, from the front. So let's start with the under panel, which is the one where the button goes on. All you have to do from your front middle, draw an extra 6.5 centimeters towards the front, and all the way along the front you draw the 6.5 down. This measurement is put together by 1.8, 3.5 and 1.2 centimeters. The reason is, on my button panel I will fold over now, first a seam of 1.2. It is actually like 1 centimeter, but because of the fold that you automatically have there, it's losing a little bit of the width, and that's why 1.2 is better. So I fold this over, I iron it flat, and then I fold another 3.5 over. So it looks something like that. And automatically on this button panel you can see now my front middle is moved over by 1.8, which is then the middle exactly where my button goes, because my other part will have the same overlap where then the buttonhole goes in. And it looks something like that. You can see I got a finished front here. I ironed this 1.2 over, then my 3.5. Now I can go on my sewing machine and start here on the top and stitch my panel down all the way. If I want the seam hardly not to show, then I use exactly the same color thread and a thin one. But if I want a contrast, similar as I got it here on my pocket, then I got to put this contrast yarn either in the spool, or I can afterwards just stitch over again exactly in my already existing seam, which I got to do from this side, because then it really gets very even, because you iron it like that, so it's like one nice even stretch all the way down. This is our button panel. So let's have a look at the buttonhole panel, as that is slightly different the way I'm showing this to you. Again, we got our front middle. The V is not spelled wrong, by the way, but in German, in my language, it's called vorne, vordere Mitte, and it's a V Of course, you got an F there usually. Maybe I add that later on as well. Good. Okay, you take your front middle and now you add 7 centimeters onto your front middle, also going all the way down along your shirt or blouse, whatever you got. Because here now, we fold it over 3.5. As you can see, this comes together, 7, 3.5, 3.5. Iron it over on 3.5 and iron it over again on 3.5. Well, first of all you would say, well, you got something missing there and this is going to be way too short now. Yes, because it won't stay there. Because now I go on my sewing machine and stitch a 7 millimeter wide seam down here, so my edge of my cutting materials is gone. It's inside there. And then this will be folded over like that. And now if I put it on top of my other side and I put exactly my front middle now on top of each other, then you can see this is exactly as you do both parts, left and right. And to check this if it's correct, I can now also put these two parts again on top of each other and you see exactly the same you got happening. There we go. And what does it show on the material? I just take some pins at the moment to explain this so you really can follow me what I'm talking about. Also here from the left side, as it's been folded over twice, the 3.5 centimeters, I will stitch through on approximately 7 millimeters from the edge. I'll make a seam and you can see I'm opening this up and my edge cutting is now inside this seam that I've just done there. And then it will be ironed like this, exactly what I just showed here to you. And then if you wish, you can put another seam here as well. That is a matter of what you like, how you want the shirt or the blouse to look like, but it's all up to you. So this is your buttonhole panel and there's your button panel, and they go on top of each other like that. So here I am on my sewing machine and I like to show you how I'm stitching this. I'm starting with the underside, which means where the button goes on, so that's the bottom placket for you right here. And you can see I start sewing from the left side over the edge that I ironed over. And in case if you have the feeling that your material starts pushing or your foot starts pushing the material forward, so you would get some waves into this placket, that we don't want then. Just take any of your patterns that you got lying around, a hard piece of cardboard as you can see here, and hold it directly onto your needle, not stitching over it, but the needle more or less goes along the template while the foot is standing exactly on top of the template. So you can see if you do it like that, you get a perfect result for your placket. And now you can see that I had in my bobbin a thin thread exactly in the color of the jeans material. But my plan is that also my underneath placket, not only the top placket, will have on the front edge and the seam that I've just done my contrast yarn showing. So these two seams I'm doing now on the front edge and then going over my already existing stitching that I've done. It's got no purpose, it's only for optic. And as you can see on the pockets and the color that I've also done like that, I want to repeat a lot of contrast stitching on my whole shirt that I'm doing here. And here you can see exactly what the contrast color looks like. But if you don't want so much contrast, then just leave it as it was before with the thread in the same color as your jeans material. But that comes optically very nice out, and that's the way I really do like it. So we have a look at the other side where your buttonholes later will go in. You can see here we turned it over twice by 3.5 centimeters. That's how I ironed it. And if I wish that now my contrast yarn is lying on the top, then I will also practically stitch from the left side, not from the right, because then I would have my contrast yarn on the bottom. So you see, I turn it over again, and I got practically the left side of my jeans facing me now. And this seam along the edge I do in the width of 7 millimeters. Now that is very important. You can do a 5 millimeter seam, but 7 is slightly better because we got to catch the cut edge of the material underneath that we folded into the edge underneath. And if I make it much smaller, then this cut edge might slip out. So at least 5 millimeter I suggest you to do, or do it like I do right here, 7 millimeter widths. And I like to use as a guide my foot. Now it depends on what kind of foot you got. My foot is 5 millimeters long, and what you can't see now on this setting of the camera, but next to my foot I practically got a 2 millimeter of the material standing over my foot, and that gives me a good measurement, so I can do exactly 7 millimeters down the whole edge now of my front. So I think that wasn't too difficult. So let's have a look. What does it look like when I open up this fold over? Now you can see it's nice and tidy and no cut edges is shown. So now I turn my front here over, and now I start my 7 millimeter stitching along that edge. With other words, exactly in the same width again as I've just done the other seam. But you can see I opened it up because now you can see the whole placket actually already lying there. And again, the width of my foot, I said earlier on the length of my foot, that was wrong. I'm sorry. It's the width of each side of the needle. My foot has a 5 millimeter width. And again, I have 2 millimeters standing over on that side to get my nice guide along that edge. And if you wish, as that's not been ironed flat, just turn up there on the top and one stitch across there, because that's already a nice preparation that it's been stitched down to later on put your color nicely on. And you should maybe just control your job, what you've done. Control the width of your stitching and control the width of your placket to make sure it's nice and even the way you would like to have it. And that's the whole miracle what you got to do to get a real nice button placket. It's really not difficult, and if you follow my instructions step by step, you will see you can do it as well, and you really get it nicely done. So let's have a look at it again and a little repeat, as I've ironed my both plackets nice and flat now. But you can also take your pattern again to make sure to control every seam, every width, that you've really done it correctly. That is actually one main thing I keep saying in all my German videos. As you've probably seen, I do many more in my German language, and it's not always easy to make the same video in the English language. But I always tell my German friends, check your jobs. No matter which seam you made, which seam you've done, check it over before you continue, because that often helps you to make more mistakes, because the deeper you get into it by making one mistake after the other, the less joy you will have on your job. And with those words, my friend, I would like to finish this video for you today. I say thank you for watching. Please give me some comments, no matter where in the world you are and from where you're watching me, because I really love to find out where you are and where you're sewing and watching my videos. So please let me know. I'm looking forward to it. So please stay healthy. Please stay peaceful. God bless. And I hope you come around again to watch my channel. This is all the best greetings to you from Germany, Lilo.